0809.
That gives the sheriff an incentive to spend a lot of money in the next
I
quarter.
don't think so. Talk to his budget officer.
With all due respect, 0809 is simply too late in the process because the 0809 final budget figures, Meredith, sometime in August. And we'll be done with the proposed budget process way before that. So,
Well, we have a projected number.
yeah, we can certainly look at projected numbers.
Okay, Supervisor Smith?
Well, I think too, I feel like we're trying to jam an important policy discussion right now. To Ms. Wyatt's comments, they're looking for, I think, a prioritization of the different ways of crafting budgets that they can give to the departments. I think that this warrants more time. I'm concerned with looking at the budget instructions, which is a draft that says in order for the CEO to present a balanced budget this year, departments will be assigned a reduction in their net county costs of 6%. Again, this is the incremental approach that has been used that I think if we're going to talk about the prioritization process, we need to have that discussion first, because then it would sort of make that statement moot. So to Supervisor Brown's comments, we need to look at essential services. In other words, we need to back this process up, and I think we need to do it with all due speed if you're going to give your budget directions at the time you've stated you want to. Unless you're willing to change that date, I think we need to convene on Monday, and we need to go through. I'm not ready to agree with Supervisor McCowan on prioritizing the sheriff for his actual expenditures when we don't even know what they are. I wouldn't do that for any department, not one department. So I think that would be irresponsible at this point. I think we need the philosophical discussion about what are the mandated services, what are the non-essential services, where can we create some structural changes, then see how we want to prioritize with what are the service delivery systems left, and then figure out where the direction is with net county cost reductions. Is it across the board, or is it targeted specifically to different departments? So I think that this is rather a critical and crucial component of public policy direction, and we ought to convene on Monday to have this discussion, because I think absent that, it's going to be all over the map. I'd like to also get back to the teeter discussion. I think this board should give direction that it's a certain debt reduction, and I would propose probably $1 million, that out of the 11.7 million, we've got to target, and we've got to stick to it, and not this thing from 2.5 million last year down to 200,000, and the teeter debt is growing. I mean, we're going to need to do this difficult maneuvering, and I think that we ought to get started, and we ought to convene on Monday to have these discussions, unless you're willing to tell us right now that you can change the date that you'll give your budget directions to departments.
Okay, let me make a quick comment, and then I'm going to try to...
The only comment I'm going to make is that we can do whatever the board desires as far as pushing the date back or whatever you want. However, I think we're going to need a little bit more time than just 3 days to get information to the board that you're asking for by Monday. That's all I have to say.
Well, I don't think it's, I support having a further discussion of this Monday. It would be Monday morning. It'd be Monday morning, because we've got committee meetings. And yeah, the 16th. There's no board meeting next week. It'd be
No, but we could do it on the 9th.
Well, I
No, we
support...
can't. I have jury duty.
Let's do it on Monday morning of the 16th. I really think, and it seems to me like it's the direction of the board that maybe this board don't support the budget strategy of reducing everybody by, say, 6%, and go back and look at each department and say, what are your mandates here? Let's start from it's this cutting incrementally back. I think it's time that we can't do that anymore. I think we have to know and review each department. What are your core functions? What do you have to do, and what have you been doing because it's kind of nice and sexy? But those things need to fall off the table. So that's a complete flop from what it looks like your direction was going to be to department heads. And we need to have that discussion, and we need to have it soon. So so we can move this along, if we can get the support of the board members agreeing to a special meeting on this budget on the morning of the 16th, Monday. Does everybody concur with that?
Mm-hmm. And you have jury duty on the 9th?
The 9th.
There's no meeting scheduled
Yeah.
for next Tuesday.
Could
So it's the following.
Could we come
following
back
month.
on the 10th?
Well, why not just, everybody's over here for committee meetings on the 16th anyway. Let's just have a board meeting.
Well, it
starting
just pushes it back a week, but if that's the direction of the board, fine.
So do we have agreement to that, to have a special meeting on the 16th, morning of the 16th?
Agree.
Okay, so 9 o'clock, okay? So with that, I'm not so sure how much further we need to proceed here today. Supervisor Brown?
One other way, or an additional item I would like to have looked at, and maybe it's already been said, I'm getting rummy. But I would like to know, is it paid for by our general fund in full? Is it, a match funding of some kind? I think that's also an important component when we look at these programs.
Yeah, so we'll have that discussion, give direction on that Monday.
So I hope we can include that.
Okay. So I think we're gonna round that up at this, call it good for today on this. We've got a long closed session. Sheriff, did you want to make a comment?
I do, but it doesn't have to do with this. And I know you're about to go to closed session, and Supervisor Smith, I can take no for an answer if that's the answer. But I want to ask the board a question regarding animal control. And I know you want to get out of here and go to closed session. We have an animal control issue with what happened in Potter Valley with the livestock, what happened in Laytonville livestock. We have a once-a-year, 2-week school in Marin County. The Marin Humane Society puts on a school, and it starts on Monday, March 16th. And one of our applicants, who's done very well in the background, lives in Sonoma County, so there wouldn't be a cost of housing him. He'd just be able to transport. With your permission, I'm going to ask the CEO if we can pick him up for 2 weeks on part-time extra help to attend a school, with the understanding that once the first of the new fiscal year comes around, we'll be able to pick him up, because this is a once-a-year school, and if we don't send a person now, we're going to wait until next year to send them. And I know that I'm asking for something, and let me give something, and I've had a chance to think about some of the expenses that we have incurred, the Sheriff's Office has incurred over the last year, and I really believe with asset seizure, we would be able to get up. I can't guarantee we'd hit the $100,000 mark, but I think we're going to be in that area of some of the expenses for the vehicles and the radios and so forth. So I sure want to work with the CEO's staff on that and find out what we can do, but I also don't want to go against the board's wishes of not hiring anybody, when I do feel it's essential right now to send this young man to the Humane Society School so we can have him up and running when the position does come available.
Supervisor McCowan?
Well, do you think he would still be available?
I do. I think we've been in communication with him, and I believe he would be available. I will ask him that question. If he doesn't think he's going to be available, when it's time to hire him, then we surely wouldn't send him to school. We'll be fiduciarily responsible.
And the approximate cost?
The cost itself is very minute of the school. I think it's $100. And then
hiring him on for
the
2
position
weeks.
for part-time extra help for that position is, I think, $15 an hour, something like that. So it would just be paying him to go to the school, but he would also have to attend the new employees training orientation this upcoming week, on the 8th.
Supervisor Brown?
Well, I didn't know the exact amount. I heard Supervisor Pinches a while back give money out of his travel fund to help out. I think it was the ambulance. I'd be willing to help pay for that school out of my travel fund, if that's acceptable, is it?
Mr. Chair, this item is not agendized on the agenda today, so I think simply it's a conversation the sheriff needs to have with the CEO's office, and the board just needs to allow us to have the flexibility to resolve the issue.
Your request so noted.
All right, thank you. I'll meet with the CEO. Thank you very much.
Okay, with that, can we move immediately into closed? We don't need a break. We can move into closed session.